The United Stand, it is the afternoon show and we have got some news for you. Ruben Amorim's strong message to Andre Onana. A lot of people putting pressure on Manchester United, putting pressure on Ruben Amorim. There's always pressure at Manchester United and to be the Manchester United manager, but there has been some bold and some strong changes that he has made, and next up on his list is moving Andre Onana out, with it likely for him to leave before the end of the Saudi or the Turkish window. So stay tuned for that news. Bit of good news to start off your Thursday afternoon. Also, as well, we're going to talk about Ahmad's position, what his future is in this Ruben Amorim side. Also going to talk a little bit about Bruno Fernandes's message and how Ruben Amorim is changing the culture in Manchester United. Going to involve all of your super chats, all your messages as well. Get your comments in. And I can already see some people in the comments talking about the jersey, the top that I am wearing. What a beautiful kit this is. It's absolutely stunning, and thank you so much, Adidas, for sending it out to us. Lovely to receive it, and I mean, if we didn't receive it off Adidas, I was going to go and get it anyway. It is probably one of the best kits that I've seen in a very long time. Love it, love it. Hopefully we see some good performances in it. That's what we want to see. When we went to Classic Football Shirts and we were speaking to Sharp and we were speaking to Pallister, they were talking about how the black kits always had really fond memories for them. Hopefully Manchester United this season can create some good memories in it. We can see some good results. But yeah, thank you very much for that. A lot of people showing love for the kit as well, and it is super, super nice. So thank you, Adidas. But let's get into it. Bit about Donnarumma as well, why Manchester United didn't go for Donnarumma, because guess what, everyone? What a surprise. I'm from Manchester, so I do actually encounter some City fans sometimes. There's not many of them, but I do encounter, I'm joking, I do encounter some of them sometimes, and so many of them that I'm friends with had messaged me saying, this is what it's like to be a Manchester United fan now. You've just got to face the music. If Man City and Man United go in for one player, it's always going to end one way. They're going to choose Manchester City because of Pep, because of the treble, because of the trophies, because of the fact they're in the Champions League. And Man United, they tried to go for Donnarumma, but he just picked City over us. He's picked City over us. I'm not saying that Donnarumma wouldn't have picked Man City over United currently. Champions League might have been a hill he was going to die on. But Manchester United never went in for Donnarumma because we cannot afford the wages he was demanding. Manchester City can dish wages out left, right and centre. I don't think anybody actually knows how much Erling Haaland is earning, because despite his transfer fee being quite low, it is rumoured that there was heavy agent fees, a heavy wage, so many bonuses. Man United are moving away from that sort of wage structure, so that is the reason why we didn't go to Donnarumma. Go for Donnarumma. It's not because Man City beat us to it. I mean, we've beat Manchester City on numerous transfers in the past. Numerous. It's not because Man City beat us to it. It's because, according to Laurie Whitwell, who is usually very, very reliable on this sort of thing, he has said that why Manchester United didn't go for Donnarumma is Donnarumma requested £13 million per year net. And £13 million net is around 500 grand a week gross in pounds. City will package it up as if it's 250 grand a week, but there'll be bonuses in there left, right and centre. United were never going to be able to touch 300, 400 grand a week on a goalkeeper. We just weren't going to do it, especially when we're struggling to shift Andre Onana and Bayindir, and especially when our highest paid player is our captain. You're not going to one-up your captain who's done tremendous amounts for the club over the course of his career. We're just not going to do that. We're moving away from a massive wage structure. It's a big reason why Chelsea didn't go for him as well. So was that the right thing to do, or would you have gone all out and paid the wages for one of the best keepers in the world? Because what I will sit here and say, and I will give complete admission to any City fan out there, is they've got a cracking keeper. For me, Donnarumma is one of the best keepers in the world, if not the best. Like, he's that good. He's so good. Might not be the absolute best with the ball at his feet, but wow. He is an unbelievable keeper. He's got many years left in him. They're getting an absolutely fantastic keeper there. A demanding, commanding keeper. They are getting one of them. Excellent keeper, but is he worth, I mean, according to Laurie Whitwell, 500 grand a week is what his wage demands were. Let me know in the comments what you think about that. Also speaking on the keeper situation, because Amorim's strong message to Andre Onana, we're going to get onto that in a second, but just to kind of bring in the news that's coming out from different outlets as well, you have here from the Mirror that the arrival of Lammens has cast doubt on the futures of Bayindir and Onana, with one of them set to leave the club in Turkey or Saudi Arabia to bring balance to Amorim's goalkeeping options. So it's coming out from the Mirror that Bayindir and Onana, one of them is expected to leave to go to either Turkey or Saudi Arabia, two markets that are still open till the 10th and 11th of September, because of Lammens coming in. And I know we've had a lot of chatter, we've had a lot of talk, and there's been multiple very reliable journalists putting it out there that Seny Lammens is not going to be the number one straight away. He's going to have to bide his time. He's going to have to wait for his chance. Ben Jacobs said he'll probably get a chance when Andre Onana goes to AFCON. That's if Andre Onana is still even at the club. I think there's definitely a big chance that Andre Onana leaves before the deadlines of other markets out there. And also, another thing that I have noticed is that Manchester United, it might just be to, bring in a bit of revenue, sell the goalkeeper top, or I don't know what, but they are plastering him all over their social media. All over. There's every hour there's a post about Lammens. There's interviews, there's posts, there's selfies, there's him in the stadium, there's him in the ground. I mean, there's everything. Manchester United are putting Lammens everywhere. Surely you don't plaster a new signing all over everything in that way if he's not going to play a significant role. It's like when Diego Leon came in, he came in as a prospect. We didn't do about 500 interviews with him and then plaster him all over our socials. Of course, there was an introduction. Of course, there was a little bit of media around him. But Seny Lammens really is getting put everywhere. I do believe that the way that Manchester United are handling it, just from an outsider looking in, it does give me some sort of belief that he's going to play a significant role. I do think Bayindir is going to start against Man City. He was probably going to start against Chelsea. But I think Seny Lammens will get a chance a lot sooner than what's being put out there by Manchester United. And I think the reason being is because guess who's in charge of selecting the team? Despite so many rumours out there, guess who's in charge of picking the team? It's Ruben Amorim. It is Ruben Amorim. And although Manchester United might be throwing air to caution and might be, putting a cautious brief out there that, oh no, Onana and Bayindir is still going to be first choice. Lammens is a young keeper coming in for the future. If Ruben Amorim sees one more mistake by his goalkeeper, it might send him over the edge. I mean, he already has been massively frustrated by certain things that have happened at the start of this season. Bayindir and Onana have both made mistakes. They're both not his vision for a long-term keeper. Seny Lammens has been super well scouted. It did concern me a little bit when the news came out yesterday in one of Seny Lammens' interviews that he's not yet spoke with the Manchester United manager, because it made me think, that's a bit strange. Surely you would speak to the manager and the manager would speak to you if he really wanted to bring you to the club before you actually joined. But then again, it was put out there that Ruben Amorim was pushing for Emi Martinez, had multiple phone calls with him, and it was Manchester United who opted to go with Seny Lammens and follow the scouts. Mainly probably due to money, but also because of age, wage, and future planning in terms of money they can make back off him. Emi Martinez was a big wage. He was going to be a higher transfer fee. And obviously age wasn't exactly on his side, still had multiple years left. But Ineos's regime is to always look to the future, what money we can get back. And I'll move on to that in a second as well, because we are putting a patience-based approach into plan, yet we are a club that doesn't have much patience. So it's interesting. But anyway, back to my point. Slightly concerning that Seny Lammens did say in his interview that he's not spoken to the manager yet. However, to come back round to that point, I do think that Ruben Amorim will play him sooner rather than later. I don't think it'll be till Christmas. I just think with the calibre of goalkeepers we've got, especially if one of them goes, which is what's been spoken about, and mainly Andre Onana as well, I think it's only a matter of time before he gives Seny Lammens a go, because Bayindir will make mistakes. Andre Onana definitely will make mistakes, so I think he will get a chance. Thank you everyone for getting your comments in and getting your super chats in as well. Stick them in there. We've got so much to talk about. Slow Sports News says, love the black and gold, Beth. My views is on Onana is that he's complacent underperformer that has ineffectual poor skills to keep his place. Well, I'm going to speak about that and Amorim's strong message in terms of we can't have players that don't have an absolute top class driven focused mentality, and I think Andre Onana has ruffled some feathers and maybe ruffled some of Ruben Amorim's as well, hence why he's lost his place. Rovlin Moodley says Eric Cantona has fond memories of the black kit, Crystal Palace 1995, and Patrick said new jersey looking sharp. Thank you everyone for all the compliments on the kit that I've got on. Thank you to Adidas as well for sending it over to us. It's absolutely fantastic. Skinner Rat says our theory on Sancho was right, no smoke without fire. I mean, what I will say on the Jadon Sancho stuff is obviously there was them, I won't spend too long on it, but there was them quotes that came out yesterday, fake quotes from Todd Boehly, you know, talking about how, you know, he missed some trainings and everyone jumped onto it. But it was interesting because I sent it to Ricky actually, because I originally sent the first set of quotes to Ricky and said, would you still want him? Because he's a massive Jadon Sancho fan, because I fell for the trap and I believed that the quotes were real at first from Todd Boehly saying that he, you know, always goes off to LA to see his girlfriend. He didn't turn up for trainings. Fabrizio Romano put out afterwards, the quotes reported by the Italian press from Todd Boehly about Jadon Sancho are completely fake. Todd Boehly didn't release any interview to Italian newspapers about Jadon Sancho and never commented about the English winger situation. So I sent it to Ricky back and said the quotes were fake. Sorry about that, you know. End of discussion. And he put back, actually, it doesn't say that he denied it, it just says that the reports are fake. And I found that very interesting. No denial, just fake reports. Doesn't mean that them things haven't been spoken in the background. Thank you everyone for getting your comments in. Keep putting them in. Smash a like on the video. A little bit more about Andre Onana as well. This is from Team Talk. Manchester United are willing to sell goalkeeper Andre Onana to Saudi Arabia with the transfer window for the Pro League still open. Yeah, we know that. To be honest, the Andre Onana to Saudi stuff, I think there's two things from this. First thing, Manchester United would absolutely love it. They would absolutely love it, right? Love it. Imagine if you had just bought a new car, but you have an old car that you spent a lot of money on, but no matter what you do, no matter how many times you try and fix it, it's just not getting off the drive. It just keeps having problem after problem after problem. One minute you're driving it, it breaks down, you go and get it fixed again, you spend a shed load more money, so on, it breaks down, and it's just like, oh, I cannot shift this car. I've spent loads of money on it, but it's just never been what I expected. So you go and buy a new car, and then you're trying to move the old car on. And nobody wants it, because everybody knows it keeps breaking down and it's basically a money pit. What Andre Onana has been a little bit for Manchester United. And then suddenly, you know, you've heard about this car dealership that is willing to pay, you know, full price for broken down vehicles. You'd be like, yeah, yes, please. I will go in and get some money for this and shift it. Just, I don't care if you undercut me. I don't care if I don't get as much as I originally paid for it, but at least I have a place to shift it and I can get it off my drive and I can at least put a little bit of money back in my pocket. Might be not loads, but it's something. That is what people are inferring that the Saudi Pro League is. And it's just not. I saw Goldberg speaking about this on the show the other day. Okay, yeah, when they first started to get up and running, they were paying a lot of money for players to come over there because they wanted to attract people to the league. They wanted to show that they were serious. They wanted to get names over there. And it worked. Now, they are not going to just come and throw loads of money at getting Andre Onana. They have competent people over there. They have competent people running the league. And they know that Andre Onana is not worth what Manchester United are trying to get for him. So I think in an international break, whilst there's maybe, you know, not too much news flying about and there's gaps to fill, I think it's very easy to write the story of Andre Onana to Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia have a previous track record in the Saudi Pro League of taking players for an inflated fee that maybe, you know, aren't as good as they once were, or maybe coming towards the end of their career. They've had that reputation, but they're steering away from that now. They're going for younger players. They're trying to invest in proper top quality players that have something to give. they, know that Andre Onana's underperformed. They're not just going to come and throw 30 million and take him off our hands as a get out of jail free card for Manchester United. So I do think there's a chance he goes to the Saudi Pro League, but if he does go, it's going to be for a minimal fee, in my opinion. And of course, Andre Onana's got to agree to it as well. It wasn't long ago that I was hearing that he'd bought a new house very close by. His family was settled and he wanted to stay. Not very long ago at all. Maybe bringing in Lammens and Amorim having a conversation with him that he's not going to be the number one might steer his viewpoint away and he might go on the hunt for a move. But I don't think he's got, 3 or 4 Saudi Pro League clubs lining up to come and take him. I know it works a little bit differently over in the Saudi Pro League in terms of the deal makers, and Ben Jacobs would be great to explain that, but the deal makers brokering the deals, etc., etc. But I don't think it's a smooth sailing to get Andre Onana to Saudi Arabia, and it's like the car dealership taking the car. When it's just getting its business off the ground, it might do it, start the ball rolling. But once it's, got quite a lot of cars in there, they're not just going to come and do you a favour and take a broken car for no reason. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with that. I think Man United would absolutely love to get him off the books and get some sort of money back for him. But I think that news is being pushed more from maybe Manchester United and the easier link to make in the media than maybe the actual interest that is there. But let's see. We've got Patrick Lynch saying Lammens being everywhere on socials is not surprising. The club know the sentiment around the goalkeeper and the frustration about the lack of midfield buy. Best way to garner good feeling is showing off a new signing. I agree, Patrick, but if you weren't going to put a player in at all, you wouldn't put him everywhere, surely, because it just sets unrealistic expectations. Maybe they are just trying to, put a positive spin on it, but we'll see. In terms of Amorim kind of trying to send a strong message to Andre Onana to push him out, well, I've got a few things to go through on this one. So, and stay with me here because we're getting to a point. So this is interesting. And it got brought back up by the Mirror today when I was looking through the news. And these are some quotes, right, that were said when it was that year when Manchester United, Ronaldo was still at the club, Manchester United beat Real Sociedad away, or did we draw with them? Let me just actually get it up now because I want to get you the factual news. And I did have it before, but my screen's gone off, so I need to get the... Okay, here we go. Past... 1 second, guys. So, I think, if I can remember the year of when this was, it was September the 8th, 2022. Oh, no, it wasn't. That was the home leg. Why is it gone from my screen? I'm so sorry, guys. Here we go. It was the 3rd of November 2022 because there was a home leg, there was a away leg. This was away at the Real Arena. Don't know why it took me a while to bring that back to my mind, considering I was actually there. But there's been a lot of games and a lot of stuff that's happened since then. But if you remember, Alejandro Garnacho scored the goal. Cristiano Ronaldo assisted him. I think afterwards, Alejandro Garnacho asked Ronaldo if he could do his celebration. He was, doing the celebration that Ronaldo did. I'm taking you back to them times, and there's a reason why. So after that game, in 2022, November 2022, when Manchester United beat Real Sociedad in the Europa League through an Alejandro Garnacho goal, this is what Bruno Fernandes had to say. 2022. He said this. He said, at the beginning of the season, Alejandro Garnacho was not at his best. On the pre-season tour, he did not have the best attitude. That's why he didn't get his chance until now. He's getting chances because he's training better and he's having the correct attitude. And I just think, after we've just parted ways with Alejandro Garnacho in summer 2025, I think it's a reminder of how long poor attitudes and poor mentalities have been allowed to fester at Manchester United. There's been reports about Marcus Rashford's attitude. Ruben Amorim was a big one in calling that out. Alejandro Garnacho, Bruno Fernandes, the captain of the club himself, called it out in 2022. Jadon Sancho, we all know the Jadon Sancho stories. Jadon Sancho and Marcus Rashford are still contracted to the club. They're just out on loan. Alejandro Garnacho is eventually gone. But I think when people come in on Ruben Amorim, and okay, yes, his results have not been the best at all. They've been poor and they deserve looking at. But Rome wasn't built in the day, and there is a process. One thing he has done, which people need to get on board with and give a bit of respect to, is he's getting the bad apples out of the club. He is changing the culture at this club. And the fact that poor mentalities, poor attitudes were allowed to fester in the club for a long time is a reason why I think we hit the lowest point that we have. 15th last season. And Ruben Amorim coming into what I think was an even tenser situation than they ever anticipated. So it is going to take time. He does have to get results. He does have to ensure that he gets results this season. But it's not all going to change overnight. And I think that's one thing that we really do need to kind of sit here and stand up to, is the fact that there's been a lot of media pressure on Ruben Amorim. There's been a lot of people going at him. But at the end of the day, he is making really good changes behind the scenes that if he went, that might all go away. So we've got to kind of stick with him for a period of time. There's other reasons why we do as well, but it's something I wanted to bring up because his changes that he's making will have a positive long-term effect. We've just got to kind of wait to see that. I'm hoping anyway. There's more to come on this story. And, you know, the fact that Alejandro Garnacho, after the Europa League final when we lost, you know, made it about him and said, until you reached every final, I played every round, played 20 minutes, I'll see what happens in the summer. Also spoke about, you know, they had a rubbish season, didn't beat anyone, like kind of thrown his teammates under the bus after the Europa League final. It just was a sour taste that he made it about him and hinted towards a move. Ruben Amorim came back at him. You better hope or beg that you find a club in the summer. Very tense situation. But these are a few things that Ruben Amorim has done since he's come into the club. And I think the fact that he's already displaced Andre Onana is another personality that he's trying to shift out. Because we had the reports at the start of this week that Andre Onana came back in the summer asking for a bigger contract because of his pay cut for not getting Champions League, the 25% pay cut. I think, you know, when you do contracts, when you join a club, agents and everything are involved, and I don't know if he was 100 million% aware of the 25% pay cut for not being in the Champions League. I mean, Mark's spoken about this, so I don't want to go into it too much, but the fact that he couldn't fathom that the reason they've got the pay cut is because one of the big reasons is because of him, because he was one of the worst performers in the team. He should actually be, you know, apologising to his teammates, some of them anyway. Sorry you're on a pay cut because I can't keep the ball at the back of the net. He's not the only one, but the fact he even had the nerve to kind of think he was going to get a pay increase, apparently that, you know, didn't go down well with Ruben Amorim, as it wouldn't. And Ruben Amorim doesn't think he's good enough to be Manchester United's goalkeeper. Like a Super Chat said before, he clearly has a very complacent attitude, very complacent, and performances haven't improved, and he's very nonchalant, and you just can't be that way as a keeper at Manchester United. So I do think when you look at what Ruben Amorim is doing, you know, Cunha has displaced Marcus Rashford, who had issues behind the scenes, and Bruno has displaced Garnacho, who's had issues behind the scenes. I mean, that's a massive, massive upgrade. Lammens potentially coming in and could displace Onana. If not, he was absolutely trying to get Martinez through the door to displace Onana. He was trying to get a first choice keeper, no doubts about that. And he's benched him for Bayindir in the Premier League, which is a clear message to leave. It is a clear message to him, leave the football club. Go and get that move. That's what it is. Højlund as well, as unlucky as it is, and look, I wish Rasmus Højlund the best of luck. Anything I've ever heard about Rasmus Højlund is complete hard worker, boyhood Manchester United fan who just wants to do his best. Came into Manchester United at a really difficult time. I think too much pressure was put on him too soon. And if we're not careful, the same thing will happen to Sesko, which I don't want, because I don't want Sesko to fall down the same rabbit hole. But I really hope Rasmus Højlund goes off and has a fantastic career. I wish him all the best. I'm very sad it didn't work out. However, if Ruben Amorim doesn't want you at the club, you will know. He dropped him from the squad and basically forced him out to Napoli. Ruben Amorim, when he wants to be strong, he can be strong. Ugarte, what does his future hold? He's not really seeing that many first team minutes right now. And we've started to play more dominant possession football, and player power, I think finally is coming to an end at this football club. So there are things you do have to stand up and kind of give Ruben Amorim a little bit of credit for. The fact that player power is coming to an end, and that's something that I think's happened with Garnacho and is following suit potentially with Onana as well. No, you can't come back in, ask for a pay rise when you've been terrible, and then linger all summer long and not get a move when I've got a new keeper in. I will drop you from being number one, and I'll make it known that I think you need to move on. Whether he does move on, let's see. But I think Ruben Amorim's done his part in showing that he wants to move on to a different goalkeeper. Whether Manchester United can actually get a move going for him or whether he wants to go, he still has a contract, there's still deciders in that. But I think Ruben Amorim has done his part in kind of showing him that you've not got my trust as number one goalkeeper. Amorim is making progress. Comments in the chat coming on. We have Crackers College Hoop says Lammens has surely displaced Onana. Graham Cook says, I would have loved to be a fly on the wall in Amorim's office when Onana asked that. I don't think he directly asked Amorim, but Amorim would have found out about it very, very quickly. Tidor says, bring Lammens in now. It doesn't matter if he or Bayindir will make mistakes. Mistakes are part of football. He needs to start to have confidence playing for the future. 100%. I agree with that one as well. Clover says, imagine Amorim being backed when he was the worst manager, serial bottler. I mean, you've not listened to anything I've just said there in terms of some of the changes he's making. I mean, not everything happens in a day. You know, I understand the results are going to get looked upon, but I've just told you all of the changes that he's making. I did a show and you're entitled to your opinion. I did a show yesterday, the 2 p.m. show. Thank you to everyone who tuned into it and left some nice comments there and got involved about the stats from the start of the season. That Grimsby result is massively skewed a lot of people. I'm not saying we're title contenders. I'm not saying, you know, we're at the level we need to be, but we have absolutely improved. There is no more player power at the club. We've absolutely improved. He's moved some players out that needed to go. He's making changes and we are slowly improving and getting better. So there is a lot of pressure. There's a lot of media pressure out there on Ruben Amorim, just looking at his results. Love to talk about the system because it's a massive talking point. Of course there's question marks. Of course there's conversations we can have. But you do have to acknowledge some of the positive things that Ruben Amorim is doing as well. Thank you everyone in the chat for getting your comments in and letting your opinions be heard. Just the last few things. I mean, this top is absolutely fantastic, Manchester United's, but there's also, you know, loads of other clubs to speak about as well. Make sure you go and head across to That's Football after this video. So many more talking points throughout the Premier League, loads going on right now, and all other football related news will be spoken about on there. So head across, subscribe, watch the latest That's Football videos over on there. Thank you everyone for that. But lastly, what I wanted to touch on quite quickly is regarding the goalkeeper, regarding the striker. I did want to say this is, I said it yesterday and I don't want to go too much on it, but I just want to warn people because I think there needs to be patience. There needs to be patience when it comes to Benjamin Sesko. I heard Louis Saha speaking about it, how, you know, the fact we've maybe not bought a midfielder, we've not maybe invested in other areas that needed addressing, is going to hinder Sesko in a sort of way. But Manchester United absolutely should have bought an experienced, ready-made striker. And I worry about Sesko because I don't think he's ready yet. I think he's got great attributes, he's got great potential. But if you said to me now, did Amorim want Sesko and Lammens or did he want Watkins and Martinez? I could bet a lot on the fact he wanted Watkins and Martinez because he will know he needs results now and he's not blessed with all of the time in the world. Lammens and Sesko are investments, potential, patience, and I'm all for that. If you've got a stable manager that is getting results, that has been at the club for a long time, that you've got absolute faith in, and there's harmony within the fan base, and you know that they can produce, they know that they can deliver, everything's working, it's like a smooth cog that's turning. I'm absolutely for that. Sesko, great potential. Lammens, very well scouted, one of the best up-and-coming keepers in Europe, great stuff. But when you're Ruben Amorim and you desperately need results, you want experience in there. So the only concern I have is that we're buying potential for the future when we need the now, and this is probably the club in the world that has the least patience. And we've got a patience-based strategy and approach when everyone's patience is running out. So not blaming Lammens, not blaming Sesko. great potential and I want to get behind them, but I just think there's going to be, you know, a lot of pressure on these kind of players when realistically, I don't think they're going to be able to solve all of our problems immediately. So that's something I just wanted to quickly bring up. Also, a lot of people talking about Ahmad's position in the team at Manchester United and where he's going to fit. I had a few people kind of bring this up on shows previously, and I just wanted to touch on it. My personal opinion, you might have other ones, is I think Ahmad will be an excellent right wing back when this system is fully up and working and functioning. He's got pace, he's got defensive contributions, he anticipates where the ball is going to be really well. He can go on the outside, he can go on the inside, he's creative. And what people don't, I think people forget, Ruben Amorim eventually, even now, but eventually does not want to play with a back five. He wants to play with a back three. The wing-backs in that system should be bombing forward, having attacking output, and that's exactly what Ahmad can do. He's an athlete, he can defend pretty well. Okay, yeah, he probably needs to work on, you know, being caught out at the back post and being in the right places at the right time defensively. But I think once we are functioning as a proper system, a proper team, Ahmad will be brilliant at right wing back. I truly do believe that. I think that's going to be his position. But let me know in the comments what you think. Vincent says Ahmad is too small for the role. I don't agree. Ahmad is really good aerially, deceivingly good aerially. He's deceivingly strong. He's got a lot to his game. And I think he will be the nailed-on right wing-back if Amorim gets the opportunity to take this team to the top level. But he's obviously got to adjust to it. The team have got to adjust to it. And every little position affects every other position. And he's got to gel with Mbeumo. It's so important to gel with the players that you're playing with. And I do think that in a system that plays with wing-backs flying down the flanks, Ahmad can be a really, really good player for us. That's my opinion. A lot of people scaremongering and worried about Ahmad's development and worried about where Ahmad's going to play. In that system, he should be a wing-back that's basically playing as a winger. And I think right wing is his best position. I think he's going to be absolutely fine. You should have your right-sided centre-back pushing up. Sometimes the Dorgu as a left-sided centre-back will drop in, vice versa. And your midfielders coming out as well to cover you. Him and Mbeumo will learn when to cover and swap and change as well. I think he'll be absolutely fine. I think he will. Obviously, Lenny Yoro, who plays the right-sided centre-back role with Mazraoui, is going to have to sometimes form as a right-back in that system and kind of get across. But that's what Ruben Amorim is trying to do. If you break down the games, oftentimes we do drop into a back four. It does happen. So let's see how we go on. But I do think Ahmad will be a great right wing back. We've just got to have time. We've just got to have patience. Thank you, everyone, for smashing a like on the video and getting your comments in. Robaz says, back to crossing and passing in training, especially now we have a player like Sesko. Treat him like Van Persie. He will put the ball in the net. I can't wait for Sesko to actually get off the mark. I really want him to get off the mark because I think that'll do him a world of good. What I will say is he probably should have done better with both of them. But them few crosses he did receive, the few little headers he had in that Burnley game, was quite exciting that he was at least getting in the right place at the right time and looked like he knew where to be as a striker. Little things, but little things that we can build upon. Carrick says, let's be real, even an experienced striker will struggle, the same as Sesko. Look at Watkins at Villa, he's struggling so much too, and he's been worse than Sesko, I feel, in 3 games. I've been watching all the Villa games. I think Sesko is... not Sesko, sorry. I think Watkins has been really giving it his all up front. I just don't think the team behind him has been very good whatsoever. But anyway, you can get more of that content on That's Football, talking about Aston Villa and all the other clubs. But thank you, everyone, for watching. Get your comments in down below. Smash a like on the video if you've not already. Subscribe to the channel if you've not already. Thank you for all of the love on the third kit as well that we've got on. And I will see you on the next one.